Alright, this week we are making custards, so I have chosen to make cream puffs. And the first thing you need to do when you make cream puffs is you have to make the pastry cream, that is the filling. And the reason we're making this first is because it has to chill before we pipe it into our cream puffs, so I'm going to get started on that right now. Our first step is we're going to measure out 2 cups of milk. So we're going to pour this into a pan right now. Put this on medium. And I'll give this a... While we're waiting, I'm going to separate out our eggs and our yolks. So for this recipe, we're using 3 egg yolks and 1 egg. So I'm just stirring my milk right now so the bottom doesn't get scorched. And the recipe says to separate the eggs and the egg yolks and then add 6 tablespoons of sugar, 2.5 tablespoons of cornstarch, and salt. How much salt? Just a pinch of salt. And we're going to whisk it until it becomes smooth. I'm just reading it now, and it says add when the milk comes to a boil. So I lied. We are bringing this milk to a boil. And our milk has become heated. So we're going to add our mixture of eggs. I forgot to add that we're also adding our vanilla to this mix as well. So I'm just now whisking it. Should have put this into a bigger container, but now I need to add our cornstarch and salt, and then I will pour it into our milk. Magic mixture. This is what will turn our milk into custard. This is our thick egg mixture. Okay, I was about to do that almost very wrong. So, good thing I read. We're going to wait until this milk boils, and then we're going to take it off the heat, and we're going to add half of it into our egg mixture. So I am going to transfer this into a bigger bowl. Now we're going to whisk our custard vigorously on low, medium heat until it thickens. So that's what I'm going to do now. So once we got our custard to a boil, it changed states pretty rapidly. Now it is like a pudding texture. And we're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter to this. I've taken it off the heat. And now we're going to whisk in this butter until it melts. And the butter is softened already, so this is easier. Okay, so because we're going to make our pâte à choux, or our choux pastry today, and I want to fill it, I mean, as soon as the pastries are cooled. So I'm going to strain out our custard onto a baking tray, and I'm going to spread it thin onto this so there's a bigger surface area, and it'll cool it down faster, which means we can fill our pastries quicker and means we can eat our cream puffs, tonight, which is what I want to do. Our pastry cream is here. I spread it really thin onto this baking sheet, and then I put a bath of ice and water into this, and I put our pastry cream on top of this so it would cool a lot faster. And now our pastry cream is almost completely chilled, but I'm going to let it sit in the fridge while we make our choux pastry. Okay, after you cleaned your entire kitchen, it's time to make the choux pastry. Okay, I'm just going to stop reading the recipe and I'm going to actually do the things. So, I'm going to melt... I just read it. Okay, now that our butter, milk, water, sugar, salt, mixture is simmering, we're going to remove it from heat, and we're going to add 1 cup of flour all at once, and then we are going to stir it with a wooden spoon until it forms into a ball, and then we're going to keep stirring for a minute. We're going to like press the ball down into the sides of the pan, and we're going to cook the flour. It actually, I don't know why I did quotes, it's actually cooking the flour. I've already done this. I've already beat 4 eggs, and we're going to add this in like 3 or 4 additions. The recipe says use a mixer, but I'm just going to do it by hand because I've done it by hand before, and it's turned out fine. So at this point it kind of looks like really thick mashed potatoes, and so what we're kind of doing is just stirring. Here's the motion that I'm doing. Stir and flatten, stir and flatten. I know why the recipe said do it with a mixer, because I definitely got an upper body workout today. Here is what our choux pastry looks like. Pretty proud of it. So I've already set up a baking sheet with parchment paper. I did just tiny drops of water on all the corners so the parchment will stay in place while I pipe. I don't have any pastry bags. We have to brush the parchment with water to create a humid environment. I prepped a second baking sheet because I was scared that I would have too much dough. Time to pipe. Okay, now all of our choux has been piped out, and now I'm just dipping my finger into the water, some water, and I'm flattening down the tips. After that, I will be brushing them with egg wash and then baking them at 400 degrees for bake for 20 minutes at 400, then reduce the temperature to 350 for 10 to 15 more minutes until the pastries are golden brown. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, our they're not puff pastries. Cream puffs are baking. Currently, the oven is down to 350. The recipe said not to open the oven, but since I'm baking one tray on top and one on the bottom, I had to switch them because the top one was getting too brown. But now I'm just waiting until all of our cream puffs are golden brown, which will be in about 2 or 3 minutes. So I have already set up another piping bag with a tip so we can put our pastry cream into it, and once our pastries are cooled, we'll pipe them. Our pastries are out of the oven, and I'm going to move them to some cooling racks so they are able to cool a little faster because I really want to eat one and I don't want to wait. This is what I'm doing to make them cool down faster. And it's working! I'm getting impatient. They're about room temperature now. Actually fanning them off made them cool off a lot faster. So our puff pastry, whatever this is, the shell of the cream puff, our pat of choux that we made, it puffed up nicely, like incredible. Where we put our egg wash, it's nice and shiny. Delicious. Can't wait to eat these. So now I'm going to fill one. That's a lie, I'm going to fill all of them. And then I'll eat one, and then I'll be done, and then I'll go to bed. Okay, so I filled half of them, but there was an explosion out of the side of the pastry bag that I was using. I think the plastic bag was too flimsy. So I'm going to cut the rest of these in half, and I'm going to fill them. Not ideal, but Half of them turned out okay. I let my stepdad try one of the filled ones, and it was approved. So I think I did an alright job. That was how to make cream puffs. I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was fine. Alright. That was exciting. They're very good. So, anyway, that's it. I'm done. But I'm going to eat one of these on camera, even though I'm really full, because I already had one.